Hi, everyone. Really excited to be here with you. Have you been enjoying the day? Yeah, fantastic. Anybody feel a little stimulus overload? Yeah, a little bit. How about, how about taking a real deep breath with me? Everyone, just take a deep breath. And then let the air out. And maybe roll your shoulders a little bit. And close your eyes and open them. And maybe stretch up in the sky and just let your body kind of have a little bit of movement. Yeah, good. Let's make some sound. Wonderful, wonderful. And then just close your eyes for 1 second. Feel your feet on the ground. Plant yourself in your seat. Feel your tush against the seat and your back against the back of the chair if you like to sit that way. And then take a big belly breath and let the air out. And then visualize a golden light from as high as you can imagine, coming all the way down into your brain, filling your brain up with light all the way down your spine, connecting you to the ground, and filling yourself up with a radiant light. Breathing in, breathing out. Knowing as you commit to yourself, you are committing to your career and putting yourself first. Beautiful, beautiful. Great to be with you all. My name is Elaine Hall, and I am the founder of the Miracle Project, which is a theater and film training program, as well as a place to build friends, build confidence, and be with your tribe. We create original musicals, and I also work in TV and film on set as an acting coach, as an access coordinator. I review scripts. I work with casting directors. I do a lot of different things, but the most important thing I'm committed to is getting work for neurodivergent individuals in the TV, film, and theater. And I am so excited to be moderating this panel with some of my favorite people on the planet. So we are going to get started. First of all, I'd like to, we'll go this way and then that way. First of all, my dear friend, you may know him from Love on the Spectrum, Steve Spitz, who is here today with us. And next to Steve is Cami Patton, and yeah. Cami is an Emmy-winning casting director, and as well as a producer, and she cast, how many of you guys saw the show As We See It? Yeah. So she cast 3 autistic actors to portray 3 autistic characters, as well as numerous other neurodivergent actors, many from the Miracle Project, to be on the show, so authentic casting. And she also cast me as I'm called Coach E, and she cast me to play Coach B. So my other dear friend is Katie McGrath, who is one of the top agents for disability across the country. And she has built on the work of Gail Williamson, who was a pioneer in disability diversity casting, and Katie has just taken it to a whole different level. And then Naomi Rubin, who is an actress. She played Noelle in Atypical and Ellie in As We See It, and Naomi's on the autism spectrum, and she credits her neurodiverse thinking for the ability to imagine characters and animate their emotional universe. And Naomi, I'm happy and proud to say, is an alumni of the Miracle Project company class. And on this side of me, we have Alexis Kazera. And Alexis is a casting director for film, TV, and commercials. And in their office, they champion all actors, those who are quirky, and she prioritizes inclusive casting, and is both those to play neurodivergent roles, but also to portray neurotypical roles. And then we have Mindy. Yeah, we can keep clapping. Mindy Sterling, you guys, very, very recognizable Mindy for her roles in Austin Powers and How the Grinch Stole Christmas. I can go on and on, so many wonderful things. And just a fabulous human being who you'll get to know better today. And that's Mindy. And next to Mindy is Chris Bartlett. Chris, you may know, has been in The Mandalorian. Yeah. And Chris is going to share about authentic casting, being yourself, and some other really fun kind of things. And next to Andrew is an actor, writer, director, producer, Andrew Bowen, who's worked in the industry for over 3 decades. And we're just really excited to have all of you with us to share your insights. Today's theme, and you probably experienced this theme throughout the morning, about the importance of being your authentic self and what that means in TV and film and theater, how being your authentic self. And we're going to hear from all these wonderful people how that has helped them build their career personally, as well as how that has helped them in the entertainment industry. So I'd like to start on my left with Steve Spitz. Steve, tell us a little bit about how being your authentic self and recognizing your own neurodivergence has helped you with landing on, of all things, Love on the Spectrum.
Oh my gosh.
Do you want to use your mic? We might be able to hear you.
I beg your
But
pardon.
Steve has the most incredible voice, so we would hear him anyway, but, okay.
Gee, you know, that's quite a question that you're asking, and my answer is so heartfelt and very deep in so many ways. Of course, the show is really overwhelming, and I still can't believe all that goes on with that. In addition, so many other wonderful things are feeling good. I'm meeting so many lovely people that, honestly, I've never met, who I think know me already. And because they do, oh my goodness, I can have a nice, pleasant conversation with them. And I feel like I can open up.
And Steve, you used to mask. How did you decide to not mask and show who you really are?
Well, Elaine, I want to give you a whole wide world of credit for that. I really do. It's so important. Oh boy, growing up, I would mask. And not only as a child, but, you know, through other years, even decades, a very bad habit. And it must have started, I'm certain, as a child. And, you know, seeing how other people are, knowing deep down how different I am, although frightened to show that. And somehow I began to do exactly that, the masking, even pretending, if necessary, to become somebody else who I never was, and I am not. But you know what? I'm so glad that you have me unmasking, because this is really important. And I feel so well connected with all of you lovely people. And, you know, I can be the person who I am, and I don't feel so self-conscious about it like I used to do. I mean,
Thank you, Steve. Thank you.
oh, thank you. Thank you all. Really. Oh,
Cami, you've been a champion of casting authentically, casting people with disabilities. How can we help increase opportunities and visibility to be considered?
I think there are a couple of ways, but I think one of the more important ways, it all really comes down to communication. You need to communicate with your agents. They need to know exactly what accommodations you might need. Don't be afraid to tell them if there's something that you need that would set you up for success. So much of it is easily achievable, and the problem we have is this thought process from a production side that things can be overwhelming or difficult or costly to try and, make something accessible. It really rarely is. So it really is about you communicating very honestly with your agents, knowing that your agents want to help you get the job. That is what they're there for. And then the agent needs to trust that casting directors are casting directors because we love actors and we want you to be our answer. And anything that we can be told to help set you up when you come in to be successful, we're going to want to try and do. So just as an example, if let's say someone has dyslexia. If I know that ahead of time, I'm going to make sure that the material is available for an extra amount of time in case that's what you need. If the material changes at the last minute and it's a producer session and there's nothing else to be done, I'm going to tell the producers that you need some time with it. I'm going to make sure they understand that, there's a process there, and if you're not comfortable with the change, we're going to say you're just going to read the original material. All you need is a little extra time to make the change. And if there's a table read and I know someone has dyslexia, I'm going to make sure that you have that script well in advance so you can be as prepared as possible, because these are things that would be a challenge that normally wouldn't have been thought of. It's not a problem. It's easily accommodated, but if we don't know that's something we need to do, it doesn't happen. So just know, so many easy fixes that may to you seem like it's going to be off-putting are not. And the more we can educate our productions as to how easy it is. I have one other instance for that. I was doing a show that was shooting in New York, and we were having this one set that we were going to use on location in several episodes, and I hired a woman from your office, who was a wheelchair user, and she was going to need an accessible trailer. But because we weren't on our stage, there were no trailers that were going to be accessible, and we were out on location, and we were going to be on location every time. I brought this up to my line producer, who was brilliant, and she said, actually, there's a hotel across the street from our location. We can get her a hotel room. We'll do her wardrobe and makeup there. And then she thought about it for a few minutes, and she said, you know what? Rather than try to fill the streets of Brooklyn with trailers, we're just going to put everybody in the hotel. So what seemed like an accommodation became a fix for everybody that was much easier on the production. So don't get in your head about what it might, how it might block you from getting the job. Be honest about what you need so that you actually can get the job.
Cami, I like what you said about, you're talking about all these details that really, as actors, we have no control over. The one thing we have control over is being ourselves. And so, as a young actor, we think, we need to become a character in every role, or every audition, we need to become that character. And Alexis can probably speak to this better, that what they're really looking for is the person that they like, and that person is you. Yeah. So when you can go in and be yourself in an audition, that's the thing you can control, and you are the most unique. We, are the most unique individuals that represent ourselves. And so that's something I learned as an actor, is transitioning from, trying to become a character and just being myself, and making that character, like me. And anyway, so I like that you brought up those details, because it does highlight how much we don't have control over, but the one thing that's the most important is ourselves.
And
I also
remember-
wanted,
I was just going to say, because I sat here like nodding at everything Cami was saying, but remember that will almost surely not be the only person on that set who has needed some sort of accommodation. I've worked with so many actors far before I worked with this community of actors, and there's always someone like, you have a food allergy, okay, so that needs to be communicated ahead of time to make sure that the craft services and the caterers know that your food needs to be prepared separately. There might be a woman on the crew who has recently had a baby and needs a separate space close to set to breastfeed. You have no idea how many people there are, and everybody has a different situation, a different experience. So try not to feel like you're so alone, because I promise you're not.
I also wanted to say, piggyback on what Cami said, and encourage you, yes, it's super important to talk to your agents and let them know what you need, but I encourage you to talk to us as well, the casting directors, when you're in an audition, when you're in a callback, if you're on a Zoom, if you're in the room. I encourage you to talk to us as well. If you're nervous, we know. We've come across that all the time. If you need an extra second, we gave you an adjustment, you need a few minutes, let us know. Maybe you could step outside the room, take your time with it, come back in. These are accommodations that we give to anyone for any reason, but we encourage you to communicate with us directly when you're in the room, because that way we can help set you up for success. When you feel comfortable and you feel supported by the casting director, you're gonna do your best work, and that's what we want from you. We want to make sure you feel comfortable so you can do your best work. So please speak up in the room if there's something that you feel like we need to know, or you just want to talk for a few minutes, get to know us a little bit. That's what we're there for, because we're your advocates.
that is so wonderful to hear that, and for young actors to be learning that the casting directors are looking for you. And if you come in pretending to be someone else and masking, they won't find you. And the sooner they find who they're looking for, the easier their job is going to be. I just helped cast a film called Ezra, that comes out at the end of May. And I auditioned with casting directors, a producer and writer, 100 12 to 14-year-old boys across the country, 100, all needing to be neurodivergent, autistic. And it was interesting, the ones that made the best impression were those who were exactly what, Chris, you were saying, 100% themselves. There were some very professional actors, very, very professional. They worked a lot, 12, 14 years old, but they've worked a lot as kid actors. But they had learned to mask and pretend that they were not autistic, not neurodivergent. And because of that, their audition felt phony, felt fake. The young man who got it, William Fitzgerald, when you see him, he was 100% himself, 100% himself. And that's what got him the role. Like right away, it's like, oh, this is what we've been looking for. So we're looking for you. And showing up. Now, that doesn't mean show up without any training, without any experience. Naomi, tell us a little bit about the importance of being in community and training, and as an actress, how being your true self has helped you.
Is this too close? I can't tell if it's too close. Okay. So being yourself is really important, just because you let people know right away who you are. And sorry, what was the question?
That's okay. How has, what kind of training did you have to go through, and being in community where you're practicing being an actress?
So my first professional class, I think, was Miracle Project. And then I went to, and at Miracle Project, it's stuck with me to this day, but I said that I'd found my people because I'd made a lot of friends. Some of them are in the audience right now. And I had a lot of fun at Miracle Project, and I also took some acting classes with Diane Christensen, who's a wonderful acting coach. And I'm currently taking classes at David Gray Studios, and it's incredible there. I also take vocal coaching there, and which is pretty cool. And what I've kind of discovered is like, when you're not being yourself, you're not doing your best work. And so on days when I'm like pretending that like when my internalized ableism is like, just don't be yourself. Don't just pretend you're not just pretend to just hold, just don't stim, don't do anything. I find myself just kind of not, oh my God. I find myself not doing the work that I need to do and not doing the work that I know I can do.
I think that a lot of actors struggle with this lesson and accepting it. You can know and fundamentally understand the idea of, just giving into the character and being yourself, but it's another thing to like fully process it and learn it and feel it. And it can probably seem counterintuitive to say to an actor, don't try to be anybody else but yourself. And you're like, hello, isn't that the job? To be
I'm
someone
being
else?
somebody else.
But if you're trying, if you're in an audition and you're trying to become a character, but you're too busy thinking, well, I think they wanted me to be this, and I have to be this, and I have to do that, and oh, am I doing this? Like, can they tell this? You're not giving in and becoming the character. The more comfortable you are in who you are, the less those voices are in your head, so that when you get in front of casting, you can just go into the material and become grounded. It's similar to anything else, like when you learn to walk or you learn the ABCs, eventually you stop thinking about, okay, I gotta put this foot forward and then the next foot forward. You're just experiencing it, like training like Naomi said. When I watch her auditions, I don't see that internal dialogue, and trust me, I can see that when some people are doing it. Like, no, you do a good job, honey. Okay. But like, because she's done the training and she knows who she is.
And I think that's such an important part, is to know who you are and to know your own feelings and how your experience from being bullied, from falling in love, from being rejected, all of those things go into building an authentic character and bringing yourself. Mindy, tell us a little bit, you've had such an extraordinary career, tell us a little bit about how you've brought yourself to the roles that you have started.
Well, I was very shy when I was growing up, and I couldn't, stand up in front of, a classroom and give an essay or talk about a book that I read because I'm not really good at reading. So I, hated doing that kind of stuff. And something happened. I got a hold of the theater at school. And I realized, this is going to sound completely different from what everybody's talking about, but I'll tell you how it works in a second. I thought, oh my God, I don't have to be me. I can be a character. I can be Sally Winters, the old woman from down the street. And so I got involved in kind of saying, well, Mindy, you're not as interesting, or you get nervous, or do a character, do somebody else, something fun. So for a while, that's kind of what was happening. And I was doing theater, and I would do character things. And then when I got to LA, And I realized, oh, they don't want a big, funny, face woman. Oh, they just want you to be you, be you. That's why I got a lot of, just be more like you. And I was like, oh my God, I'm lost. I didn't know what to do. I didn't feel that me was good enough. And my father was in the business, so, I had to make sure that I did everything right and put so much pressure on me. And it took me a long time to understand what being you're good enough. You can do this. You don't have to get into somebody else's, head. And that made such a difference in my life, to find out who I am. I'm a little quirky. I can be really angry. I can be silly. So all those things, they can be characters, but they're all a part of Mindy's characters. They're who I am. I'm not trying to imitate something else. And I think that I have an autistic son who has a great sense of humor, and who, of course, I tried to get him to do things to show that sense of humor. And he pretty much, is like, Mom, that's what you do. That's not what I do. And I'm like, all right, well, you're missing out. And he took improv classes, because I do improv, and he took improv classes on his own. He wanted to do it on his own, had a great time, and then it was done. He did stand-up. I don't do stand-up. That to me is scary, and you are alone, and you are looking at a crowd like you, and if you are not laughing, then I'm dead. And my son took classes because I said, do you want me to help you? No, Mom, no. Okay, all right, someday I'm gonna help him. And he did like 3 shows. He was so funny because I didn't expect what came out of his mouth. It was all about his life and how interesting your lives are. You may think our lives are interesting. Your lives are interesting because of how you see the world, and to make ways of making it funny and enjoyable to hear your story. I was blown away. He never wants to do it again. He never wants to do it again, but you know what? I give him such credit for going and trying to get up on the stage and trying to talk and trying to do that, and then he realized, this is really hard. And you're right. But who you are and what you are all about and how you are raised and all this wonderful goodness, that's enough to get somebody's attention.
And I think, it's such a good point about taking risks, being willing to try something, to do something. And if you fail, then you just get up and you do it again, or you decide that's not what I really want to do. So thank you, that's really important. Andrew, you have been like a writer, a producer, you created your own material as well as a coach. And how important is it to diversify as an actor and not rely just on, when you're talking about not having the controls, Chris, to be able to create your own work as you are pursuing the acting field?
Oh, you can't hear me. I can't hear myself. I think you have to keep yourself busy. I think that's really important, because I think with any industry, there's ups and downs. And I think there's a lot to be said of, and it's tough, especially in this industry. It feels like you're waiting all the time because you don't really have control of necessarily getting your job. So for me, it really came to a point of going, well, if I'm not booking stuff, let me just create some stuff.
Yeah.
And by doing that, I ended up discovering something I was even more passionate about. And so, again, I think this conversation is sort of coming around being yourself and your individuals, and that really comes to following your instincts and following what makes you, what's your jazz. That's a word I like to use for, what really lights you up. That's always going to take you to a good place. And to sort of, from what Cami and Alexis has said too, when you're also being yourself and you're expressing maybe, what you do, your quirks, you also got to remember two things. One, you're in an environment where we're all working together. So
Bless you.
You're in a place where, the information is incredibly important for everybody. And secondly, and this is really hard, it's really hard, not trying to be perfect, because that's what we try to do, which is an impossibility. But, again, not being afraid to fail. And especially if you're an actor and you're going in and you're doing a scene and you're reading and you're being yourself. The director, the producers, we are not expecting you to be off book. We're probably going to change the lines before you get there on set. So if you fumble something or it doesn't work, just keep going. That's being human. And what happens if you're not afraid of that is, and this has happened to me multiple times when I shoot stuff, I'm shooting a scene as long as my actors, which is like the one rule, don't stop. Just keep going until someone yells cut. They don't yell cut, just keep going. Those moments when people lose their line or forget a section, or they're trying to, it's the best stuff ever in the editing room. Like, it is just so real because, again, they have no filters. They're in that moment where they're just themselves and they're in the situation. And it ends up being something that's just so engaging and fun to watch. So just remember that this is not about being perfect. No job is about being perfect. It's really just about taking risks and trying something that you're jazzed about. And again, you're never going to not get a job because you fumbled a line or you did something wrong. So, you just keep that in mind when you're doing this. And above all, everything, you absolutely can succeed. You can absolutely do this. Without question, you can do this. And it's just a matter of, you just got to keep your feet on the ground and keep walking and keep taking risks and leaping, and, you'll get there. It's just, it's sort of an inevitability.
So many pearls of wisdom, being imperfect, being yourself, taking risks, not being afraid to fail. If you're not working, then be creative. I just worked on a show where the actress was cast, a neurodivergent actress was cast because she had a YouTube channel. And there was a nationwide search for a 30-some-year-old woman, and they couldn't find her, and someone discovered her on YouTube. So being creative.
That's also like putting yourself out there.
Putting yourself out there,
If you do something silly, you got just pop it up on YouTube or Instagram or TikTok.
However long we still have it.
The easiest way for someone to find you is if they can see you.
And be
No one's going to discover you if you're not putting
Right.
yourself out there.
Be in classes. The Miracle Project has improv classes and performances and shows where you get to show your authentic self, where we write our own material. So lots of the other educational partners to be able to constantly be getting out there. I got the 5-minute thing, so I want to go through with everyone here. I know it happens so fast. I want to bring you guys all to my class. It just went by so fast. But just something that you would like to tell the audience that you would like to have known when you were first starting out. Something about auditioning, something about being yourself, something that you wish your older self had told you. So let's start down here. Naomi, something is memorable, it's something you would have liked to have known that can be helpful.
Your biggest fans are going to be casting directors, and when you're auditioning, you're not auditioning for the part, you're auditioning for the casting director, and you're making your mark, and you're not, when you don't get a part, you're not getting rejected. It's just now you're on their roster, and that's a start. And if you're like, I don't want to do this anymore, but you're also like, I can't imagine doing anything else, you're probably on the right path.
100%.
Beautiful.
I feel like Naomi made a really good point, and like I try to tell my clients this all the time. People think callbacks are so common. They're not. Like, so it is about making the fans. If that casting director asks to see a tape or see you in the room again, that means they liked what you did the first time. It just might be that you weren't right for the role, which actually leads me into my thing, because I have so many things that I could say, but I feel like one thing that's really important is like most of the time, people don't know what they want till they see it. And so, which goes back to like what we've been talking about for the last few minutes. It's like, just make a choice. Just do it. Like, do something. Don't do what you think we want to see. What do you want to do here? The auditioning period is for you to play. When you get to work, when you get the job, then you're there to support the director's vision, the writers, the producers. So when you're auditioning, that's your time to play.
Beautiful. Cami,
First of all, I want to second just remember, don't be nervous about being in the room with a casting director. We are the only people you will come in contact with who have nothing to gain by you getting the job, except that we want you to be the answer. We are rooting for you from the second you walk in the door. So anything you need, we are on your team. But also, only one person is going to get the job. We're going to read a lot of people. Don't think, what did I do wrong? Why didn't I get it? Don't get in your head. My sister's an actress, and I could not understand when I was younger how she could do it. And she said, I walk in that room, my job is the audition. And when I leave that room, I've done my job, and I move on. If I get the job, that's gravy. She doesn't think about it again. If you can have anything close to that kind of attitude and just enjoy the process, enjoy the fact that you are in that room or that you're making that tape or you're making a Zoom, just have fun with it and enjoy it. That's the journey. Enjoy the journey, because otherwise you're going to look back on this years from now and think you've wasted all of this time. Enjoy every minute of it, and it will show while you're doing it.
beautiful, beautiful. Steve, what advice would you give about being yourself and how important that is? Use the mic too.
Oh, I beg your pardon. Thank you for asking that question. I think it is exceedingly important and getting more so every minute. You know, of course, I look back to my younger self. Sometimes you'll have me asking my younger self certain questions when Elaine and I have our sessions together. And it's really something. It really, really is, because I am that same little boy that I've always been. I know it. I can feel it. In fact, I remember living right in this neighborhood.
And what would you have liked that little boy to know about when he was masking? What would you have liked that little boy to have known that you know now?
I would say, you know what? It's okay to go masking as long as you're entertaining people. That's all right. But by all means, be yourself. Only when it comes to really communicating with others. And that is unbelievably important. It really is. And I'm listening to everybody speaking, and I just love where everybody's going with all of these conversations. And you know, another one, taking risks and not being afraid of failure. Because, I don't think that we should feel that we are failing at anything. I don't like looking at it. I don't like looking at things that way. I have in the past. I've said to myself, oh, gee, I failed. But I have somebody sitting in front of me in the audience that will tell me that whatever I did has brought me to where I am today.
Beautiful. Thank you, Steve.
Thank you. Thank all of you.
Alexis.
Wow.
Well, I had two, and Steve stole one of mine, but taking risks, I would agree with that. I think it's super important to take risks. I love when an actor takes a risk. Producers think they have in their minds what they want, and it's our job when we bring them choices not to bring them 10 or 15 or 20 or 50 of the same exact person, the same exact performer. Our job is to bring them different ways to approach the character and let them see the different ways and decide this is the way we're going to cast this character today. So taking risks oftentimes will cause a producer to go, hey, I actually didn't think I was ever going to cast the role that way, but this performance completely changed my mind, and this is the way that we want to go. And I've seen it happen again and again and again. So taking risks is important, and trust your instincts. That is super important. I use that in my life. I encourage actors to use it. People in any career, trust your instincts. And I was thinking about, there's an actor who we hired. His name's Connor DeWolf. You may know him. He's got a huge TikTok following. We hired him on the Mighty Ducks, not for a neurodivergent character. It was a neurotypical character, and we didn't know a lot about him before we hired him, and then we found out everything that he brought to the table after the fact and started following him, and he documented his whole experience on set and everything, which was wonderful. But he started calling himself the ADHD guy, and he said that he thought his ADHD was his creative superpower. And I thought that was an amazing thing to say, because I think as humans, our uniqueness is our superpower. And so that's what we love to see from actors, and I encourage you to bring that to your performances. Wrap the characters around yourselves, but bring your uniqueness to the table, because that's what we love to see.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's right.
Well, everything that everybody said here so far is absolutely 100% gold. So don't forget that. I'm just going to throw a little thing, because it is a business, so we don't get chosen all the time, and we can go and leave and feel really horrible about ourselves, and I'm horrible, I can't do anything, I know. So what I do, sometimes it happens. Sometimes it happens even when you're 70. And but what I would do is always have a little treat for yourself after your audition, because first of all, you deserve it, because not only are you going to the audition, but you get the sides, you have to work on it, you have to figure out what you're going to wear, you have to either drive or someone is going to drive you, you have to get there. There is so much more than just getting there, and you've got to get it together and get in control about all the stuff that has happened from your home to here. And just know that that's a very, very, I think, brave thing. And just have a little something right after, like a piece of candy, or you could go have lunch with mom, or something that lets you know you are worth it.
I want to hear, I just got we're out of time, so we,
Oh, really?
30 seconds, 30 seconds?
That'd be-
Okay,
All right.
30
That'd be
seconds, and then we'll make sure that, but we still have
Okay.
time for questions, though, right? Okay, 30 seconds, and then let's take some
All
some
right.
questions.
Yeah. My parents told me when I was younger and came to my dad and said, maybe I should just be like an optometrist or something. And he said, no, you do what you're good at and what you love doing. So I was building costumes. and Lucasfilm saw a really short clip of me in a costume doing something on YouTube. They invited me out to Lucasfilm in San Francisco. They put me in this costume and screwed me together and bolted me, turned on some lights and a microphone, and I said, "Oh, my goodness, why, hello, I am C-3PO, Human Cyborg Relations. This is my counterpart, Mindy. I am fluent in over 6 million forms of communication." Anyway, so they said, "Okay, you're going to Australia, you're going to do this thing." So this has been 18 years when they started, oh, thank you. There was no career path or plan when I was doing this stuff. I was a nerd in my car on my way to work, learning how to trying to mimic a voice. But then watching movies and getting roles in commercials really was the beginning of my acting career. But I'm saying, do the thing that you love doing, okay? Because you will never get tired of learning more about it. And to Andrew's point, staying busy, that means take classes or make stuff that no one's telling you to make. Just do it, because you will Elaine, someone said to do the thing that you want to see on screen. So I was building costumes that I would want to see. I didn't have, nobody had cast me in anything. But anyway, it turned out. So that is all. That's what I would tell my younger self, is just keep going. Do the things. It doesn't matter if someone's going to pay you for this. Just do it because, whatever jazzes you on something, keep doing that. And then eventually that turned into 20 characters in Star Wars. So anyway, it's a lot of fun.
Thank you.
Great.
We're going to make sure the first question goes to Andrew. So
But I was just saying, I really can't add anything. Everything that just came down this
Was it all
wave-
was it all gold?
Oh, it was just golden nuggets. That was the
Okay,
juice, people.
So Jonathan has some questions from you, and we can meet you in the hallway. And if you have other questions, you can reach me at the Miracle Project, Elaine at themiracleproject.org. But let's get
Okay,
some
guys,
questions.
so this is what we're going to do. So closing ceremonies starts 5 minutes after we end the second session. So we have 5 minutes extra. We have 5 minutes for questions, okay? So we're going to try to do as quick as we can,
So
and then
if-
we're going to go to the next speakers.
So let's go 30-second answer, guys, okay? 30 seconds, all right? How do I get an agent? Katie.
Oh, jeez. The first step is make sure you're training. When I find actors at all different places, from casting directors reaching out, managers reaching out. I see someone and I look them up. But if you aren't training and if you aren't taking some sort of classes, I'm probably not going to be able to take you on just yet, because I need to know that you know what you're doing and you have an understanding of the business. I won't expect you to be perfect yet, but as long as I know you're committed and you understand what you're getting into and you have some basic level of training, I'm going to take a chance, but make sure you have your headshot, your resume, any clips, even if it's a recent audition, when you're submitting your stuff so that people can see who you are, where to find you, and what you've done so far.
Beautiful. That was 30 seconds. Thank you. Alexis, for you, speak to the importance of hiring actors with disabilities for non-disability specific roles.
I think it's incredibly important. And I think that starts, and I'm sure Cami would agree with me, kind of at our level. We are the gatekeepers and we're the ones that bring in we are doing all the pre-reading and the producer sessions. So it's up to us as casting directors to bring a diverse group of choices to them. And I think it's important to cast authentically, but it's really important to have inclusivity in roles that are not for characters with disabilities. I was talking to Katie earlier quickly. We hired one of her clients on a show a year or so ago, who he had come in for a role that had nothing to do, he did a great job, wound up not being the character, so we didn't hire him. And then a couple episodes later, the producers had liked him so much, and they brought him in to play just another regular kid, had nothing to do, the character didn't have a disability, he was just a kid in the school. And that was the best because he was the best actor for that job, and that's why he got that job.
Perfect. Cami, can you usually have a support person on set?
Say it one more time.
Can you usually have a support person on
That
set?
I never heard of that being a problem, ever. I can't imagine when it would. Just something that we need to know ahead of time so that they can make sure there's space for parking and all the other things they would do to accommodate, but no one would ever say no to that.
Wonderful. Andrew, if I forget or flub a line, would making a joke, like, creating a gag reel, be good?
Is this for me?
Yeah. Or is it just keep going? Is it okay to keep going if I made a flub before cut is yelled?
Yes, 100%. It's even better. Just literally keep going. That is like the baseline rule of being an actor. Don't go, I'm sorry, can I start again? Don't. Let them say no. And because the thing is you may flub a line, and if you're working with actors, and most of us do have, improv background, we're gonna pick up on it, and we're gonna throw something back at you. And then that might just riff into something which ends up being like the funniest scene in the entire show or film. So don't just keep going. I did something once, and I kept going. I swear to God, they filmed me for like 4.5 minutes. And I just kept going, and then finally I stopped, and they finally yelled cut, and I was like, what are we doing? And they were like, oh, that was just so funny. We just sat back and just enjoyed it. And I was like, all right. But those are the pieces that they end up choosing. So definitely. Again, it's okay to fail. It's okay to fall on your face or on your feet in this business, in any business. Just get back up again. That's all you got to do. It's real simple.
Chris and Mindy, how do you stand out when you're amongst other really good actors? How do you stand out?
Well, I just
take an oil bath.
no.
Yeah, no.
I often come in naked, and
I don't. You already stand out. You're a different person that everybody is here. So every one of you is different. You look different. You talk differently. You see things differently. So you're already a standout. You just now need to just do the best work that you can based on what they give you, and commit to it, and have fun. Whether it be something comedy-wise or something heavy, you still have to love what you're doing and have fun.
Yeah, that energy when you're on set of knowing that you're having fun, people can feel that and they want to be around that. There was this one scene where I was playing a bounty hunter droid named Q90. Jon Favreau says, why don't you go get comfortable with the cockpit? And I was like, oh yes, I've been preparing my whole life for this. And when I went in there, I sat down and all the buttons were lit up, and then I pushed a button and it turned off, and then I pushed another button and it turned off, and then I started pushing all the buttons and I was so happy. And that I think that kind of energy really translates through the production.
Did you get the job?
Yes.
Okay.
I did get the job. In fact, they told me you need to stop pushing buttons, and I was like.
Steve and Naomi, how do you overcome fear when the camera is looking right at you?
Do you want to take first, or?
Oh, ladies first.
Oh, thank you. Sorry, what was the question?
How do you overcome fear when cameras are looking at you and you're on set?
When you're in front of a camera on set, it's going to be weird sometimes, but there are also times where you're like, I'm in front of a camera. That's pretty cool. And it's like, all of a sudden in your head, you're like, what could they do with that? And then you're just imagining like just yourself on film. And sometimes it's like, this is weird, but then it's also like, this is cool. Like, I'm like, it's pretty cool, and just have fun, I think, is what I was trying to say. I don't know what that tangent was.
There's a little
reminding yourself.
There's a little
why
hack
you're-
that I
what
figured
you're
out
for.
that I think is really good. The feeling you get when you're nervous is the same exact feeling you have when you're excited.
Yeah.
And I've done this before. Been going in for a meeting, or it's a network test, and like there's a lot of people and there's all this pressure. And I remember the first time I did it, and I went, okay, this is the same feeling as being excited. And I started looking at the room, the door to the room, and all I kept on thinking is, man, I can't wait to walk through that door.
Yeah.
As soon as I walked through that door, because I just gotten my head into going, oh, I'm actually excited, I was completely relaxed in the room because I had not made it something that was scary. I had made it something that you want to go into. So that's a little hack if you want to use. That's really,
Beautiful.
really helpful.
Thank you. And Steve, how about you? When the camera is on you, do you get excited? I'm excited. Or do you get afraid? What do you do when you're afraid?
You know, what's very interesting is during the filming, I don't think I even really knew where the cameras were located. And the other thing is the thin wire inside of my T-shirt, the microphone. I think it's all about this. Like we always enjoy playing and talking, and it's very organic, as you say.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you for asking.
Yeah.
Wow.
And for me, sometimes, because I'm so used to being behind the camera instead of in front of, when I'm in front of the camera, I just commit 100% to the world of where I'm supposed to be, of my imaginary world. And being neurodivergent, living in my imaginary world, that's a superpower. So I can have a camera in front of me, but I'm really completely in the world of my play. And I forget that there's another world out there. So use what works for you. Use that excitement, use that playfulness, use that joy. For me, it's my imagination, which is expansive, so I just become part of that. We are so grateful to be with you all today. Thank you all so much. Thank you. How are we on time, Jonathan? We good?
We are good. We're going to ask the next panelists to come up now. Can we give one last round of applause for these guys? They were awesome.